scene. For more, we can speak to our international affairs editor, Armin Georgian. Hello to you, Armin. This statement coming out just moments ago, we're still trying to sparse out what exactly it means, but give us an idea.
Well, it means that nuclear forces are being readied. It doesn't mean that they're going to be used, but I'm not sure it is actually that staggering, Will, to go back to your introduction, because as you also said, he did mention this nuclear issue in that address on the eve of the war, when he effectively issued a veiled statement about nuclear weapons to the West. He said, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but it was something like, if you interfere with what we're doing, you will meet a response that you have never experienced in your lives. That was clearly a reference to Russia's nuclear weapons. So I think today's statement, when you go back to what he said on the very eve of the war, it's actually not entirely surprising. But of course, there have been these rising tensions with some in Finland, and some moves in Finland and Sweden expressing an interest in NATO, and that drawing a very stark response from the Russian government a couple of days ago only. So definitely the tensions are rising between Russia and the West, between Russia and NATO particularly. So certainly it looks like we could be approaching a very dangerous moment here.
Yeah, we don't know what aggressive statements he's alluding to, but we do know that more and more countries are offering military aid to Ukraine.
Well, absolutely. I mean, at the moment, what the West is doing is still focusing on this idea of direct help to Ukraine, rather than doing what a lot of Ukrainians that I've seen on social media are calling for, which is an actual no-fly zone. But I'm assuming that if there was to be much, civilian casualties on an even greater scale, the calls would mount for NATO to step in directly. The difference, of course, if you're talking about no-fly zones, the difference with something like Iraq in the early 1990s is that the West would be then in direct confrontation with a nuclear power. It's not the same as taking on, the Iraqi leadership, which at the time didn't actually have, the famous weapons of mass destruction, which were not even found after the Western intervention. So I think, here we're talking about a potentially much more dangerous situation. We're not there yet, but clearly the escalation is going up a notch now between the West and Russia.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Armin. Armin Georgian, France 24's international affairs editor.